Battlefield is a series I've played extensively. I've played most of the mainline games, and I think I can safely say it's probably one of my favorite franchises of all time. No, I will say it. I will say it is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Between Bad Company 1 and 2, Battlefield 3 and 4, even Battlefield 2, I've sunk hundreds, if not thousands of hours into this franchise, and I continue to do so. In fact, I even stream Battlefield 6 on Twitch. I'll link it down in my description. You should come watch it sometime. It's a fun time. It's a good time. And since they recently revealed the roadmap for what the game's going to look like the rest of the year, I figured, well, now is a good time to give my opinion about it. Also, I wanted to say I will not be talking about the campaign in this. I know it might be disappointing, but I've never played the campaign for Battlefield 6. I heard it was bad, and it looked really boring, so I just never touched it. I mean, we're going to be strictly talking multiplayer here. I think most people don't play Battlefield for the campaign. I mean, I haven't really been that invested in the Battlefield campaign since Bad Company. I mean, that's like the only two that even really have a campaign besides like 3 and 4, and I guess Hardline had one too. But point is, we're not going to be talking about the campaign here. I have almost 120 hours in Battlefield 6. I realize that may not be a lot, but I feel like it's enough to the point where I can give a decent critique of the game. I think one of the big things that sets Battlefield apart from other shooters is just the sandbox element of the game. You can play the game in so many different ways. I mean, if you want to jump in a tank and play the game like it's War Thunder, you can do that. If you want to hang out in the back and snipe people from across the map, you can do that too. You can jump in a fighter jet and live out your Top Gun fantasies. You can jump in an attack helicopter and play the game like a Modern Warfare 2 kill streak. Hell, you can even jump on a dirt bike and drive around with your friend on the back with an RPG, just blowing up tanks. You can do that too. Battlefield also does large-scale combined military warfare like not a lot of other games do. It's always satisfying to be running towards an objective as, you know, the assault class or the engineer while you have tanks going by you and helicopters flying overhead, fighter jets fighting in the sky above you. It just adds to the immersion, and it's a lot of fun. That's not to say this game is perfect. I've been glazing this game pretty hard, but it's not without its problems. One of the staples of this series is the idea that you can level pretty much any standing structure you want to the ground, if you want to. Ever since it was introduced in the first Bad Company game, destruction has been kind of a staple of the series. Going through a street, and there's an enemy team in a building above you, and they're shooting at you through the windows. Well, if you don't want them there anymore and you got a tank or an RPG, you can just blow the building up or, you know, shoot an RPG through the wall and make a hole and then start shooting them through the hole. Or vice versa, if you're in the building and, you know, you need to make a hole to shoot someone through, you can blow a chunk out of the wall and shoot them through there. No cover is safe. Any wall can be destroyed at any time. Any building can come down on you at any time. It just makes every match feel different because maybe some players aren't rocking RPGs or some players aren't using the tank, so sometimes you might be safer in the building versus other teams. Pretty much the second the match starts, that building is coming down whether you like it or not. And destruction looks amazing in this. I mean, it really is amazing, and it feels so cinematic whenever buildings are coming down, and they're just coming down with such force, and they shake the earth, and they create these giant plumes of dust that you now have to fight around, and it changes the vision around you, and it might present opportunities for, you know, flanking an objective if you can, because now you have the cover of the rubble from the building coming down. And it's just another layer of the game that really does make it fun. And while the destruction and the graphics themselves of the maps are great, I still find myself forgetting a lot of the names of the maps because they're just honestly kind of forgettable. I think one of the main reasons for this is just because there's not a lot of maps in the game right now. Since launch, there just hasn't been that many that have been added. We've had 2 new maps and we're on season 2, and that's really about it. But I think it just gets repetitive playing on the same maps. I've noticed there's been times where I've played the same map maybe 2 or 3 times in a row. It just keeps coming in the same rotation that I have to back out and keep going back and forth trying to find different maps. There's just not that many of them. And I don't know how other people feel about this, but When I play these maps, mainly I play Assault and Engineer, and I'll jump into Tank or an APC when I can, but when I'm playing in an infantry capacity, I find that there's a lot of open space on these maps. Like, there's not a lot of places to use cover and kind of bound up and, you know, use like IMT type stuff, which is kind of, you know, it kind of ruins the flow. Maybe it's just me, but in some of the bigger modes like Conquest, I feel like these large open maps just kind of slow down the pace of the game. I mean, I guess it makes it more realistic, but I have noticed compared to other Battlefield games, a map like Operation Metro where it's just super hectic and fast-paced, or something like Caspian Border where it's kind of a good balance between having like cover and concealment where I can move up and still have a pretty decent chance of not getting blasted, where a lot of these maps are just totally open, no cover, no concealment, so getting across them and navigating around them is a lot more difficult. Expect to be just blasted out of nowhere a lot more often. Now, the good news about all this is that they announced a new roadmap for the game for the rest of the year, and from what I saw, it looks pretty good. There's going to be about 7 new maps in the game. I'm not sure how many new weapons are going to be added. And some of the maps they're bringing back are the OG ones, like Wake Island, because a Battlefield game without that map is honestly pretty boring, not going to lie. I like that map. It's a lot of fun. They're also remaking Grand Bazaar from Battlefield 3, which was another great map, so I'm glad that they're doing that. It just sucks that you gotta wait until the end of the year to get all of it. So as of now, when it comes to maps, you know, it's okay. It's just okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay. Now, when you're talking about the weapons of any FPS game, you're essentially talking about the core of the game, because an FPS game or any shooter game without guns and weapons is basically just a glorified cardio simulator. And I enjoy the weapons in Battlefield 6. I think they're fun to use. I like that I can use any weapon in the game and it still feels usable. It's not like there's certain weapons that are just so broken that they're absolutely trash and I can't use them. I can find a purpose for almost every weapon if I build it out enough. I have found a few weapons to be almost overpowered. I mean, I would say the M4 and I think the DRS, it's an LMG, that are pretty close to being overpowered, but still at the same time, I find myself switching back and forth between you know, multiple weapons from multiple different types. And I think the gunplay strikes a really good balance between a milsim and kind of a more arcadey shooter. It's hard to explain, but I think you know what I'm talking about. If you've played like milsims, go and play a milsim and then play Call of Duty and then play Battlefield. You'll notice what I'm talking about. And the weapon customization is pretty in-depth. I feel like it rivals you know, Call of Duty's Gunsmith. Although there's only one thing that I find myself wanting to customize, and it's my stock. In this game, for some reason, you can't swap out different stocks. I don't know why, but that's about the only thing I find myself really wanting to be able to customize that I can't. But other than that, the customization is pretty in-depth. And it's not super overwhelming either. You're not going to have 70 different types of optics you can slap on this thing. You're not going to have 20 different ammo. It's not going to be like so absurd that it's overwhelming, but it gives you a decent amount of attachments that you can take any weapon and really customize it to fit your needs. And the camo grind is pretty worth it. I don't do camo grinds, but I find myself doing it a lot in this game. I don't know why, but it's just really satisfying. But again, when it comes to weapons and gadgets and everything, I find myself with the same problem as I do with the maps. I'm just saying, with how expensive games are now, it would be nice if they would make shooters where you have like a literal arsenal to choose from. I mean, you know, the weapon selection isn't terrible. It's okay. I want more. The classic class system is also returning from the previous entry, 2042, where they had a weird specialist system. No specialists in this game, it's just back to regular classes, which is good. That is a very welcome change. I don't know what those specialists were all about. They were kind of annoying, to be honest, but I'm glad we've gotten back to the original formula. There's Assault that captures objectives faster and arms MCOMs faster, which is nice, but they don't really have much of a purpose outside of that. There's also Engineers, repair and destroy vehicles. That is, if you have good engineers on your team. Otherwise, if you're in the tank and you don't have good engineers on your team, I hope you like being blown up, because that's what's going to happen. The support class is the medic, and they also give you like supply crates for ammo. So again, hopefully you have good medics on your team, because it's always satisfying when you can just get constantly revived and just keep coming back like a zombie. And finally, Recon, the sniper class that also spots enemies. But every class has their own unique gadgets that help with their assigned task. I mean, you know, your engineers are going to have like RPGs and javelin missiles for taking down planes and helicopters, and anti-tank mines, and a repair torch for repairing vehicles, while the support class is going to have defibrillators that can help revive players, you know, and the ammo crates and health crates you can put down. Your Recon class has a drone for spotting enemies and a laser designator for designating targets for laser-guided missiles. And then Assault has the spawn beacon, which is helpful, but outside of that, Assault doesn't really have much of a purpose other than capturing objectives faster and having a spawn beacon. And you can carry 2 primary weapons, but that doesn't really change the overall flow of the battle. But outside of capturing objectives faster, Assault doesn't really do much. The thing that they didn't change from 2042 is the fact that weapons aren't locked between classes. Like, it doesn't so much impact the flow of the game or the gameplay itself, but it does impact which classes I use, because if I can just switch between classes using any weapon I want, then there's no real incentive for me to switch. There's a preferred weapon system where, say you're Assault and your preferred weapon for that class is an assault rifle, you get a bonus to your ADS time, like you can ADS faster with the assault rifle, but the difference isn't really noticeable. I would just prefer if weapons were locked behind classes, because if there's a certain camo I want and it's locked behind, say, a sniper rifle, but I don't normally play the Recon class, well, now I have a reason to play as the Recon class, because I could only get like that certain camo or whatever, say, through that sniper rifle. Personally, I feel like I'm kind of a shitty medic. Like, I'm bad at reviving people, so you can clown on me if you want to. I don't blame you. I'm a shitty medic, I'll admit it. So I don't end up playing support a lot, but I still want to use LMGs, so I'll just swap over to Assault and equip that LMG into Assault. There's no reason for me to play support. But I'm glad specialists are gone, and I'm glad we're back to the old class system. It's just a lot easier that way. And it wouldn't be a Battlefield game without military vehicles, and boy, oh boy, are the military vehicles fun to use in this game. I think it's largely due to the destruction, because there's not a feeling that's more satisfying than taking a tank and just crashing it through a building and watching it crumble behind you, or sending high explosive rounds into it and just watching the building crumble. And, you know, or getting in a tank battle with another player and the game just turns into like a tank simulator like World of Tanks or War Thunder. It's always a lot of fun to use vehicles in Battlefield, and this game is no exception. It's always satisfying when you're in a vehicle like a tank or an APC and you have a team of engineers behind you that support you, and then you feel like you can conquer the world. You feel like you can pretty much accomplish anything when that happens. And this might sound crazy, but I think it would be cool to have a gunsmith system, but instead of for guns, it's for vehicles. Wouldn't it be nice if you customize different aspects of your vehicle? Take a tank, for example. What if I could swap out the barrel of my tank? Maybe I could swap fire rate for accuracy or something like that. Different barrels have different attributes, just the same way they would when you're using weapon attachments. Or something similar to War Thunder, where maybe you can train different crew members on different skills. That might seem a little in-depth for a Battlefield game, but I think it would be interesting. It has potential. I mean, vehicle customization is here, I just feel like it's lacking. I wish I could speak more about choppers and planes, but I am a terrible pilot in this. I mean, I'll jump on the Blackhawk every once in a while and get on the gun. That's always fun. It just feels like you're playing Black Hawk Down or something, but I can't speak for flying. Every time I've tried to fly in this game, I just end up crashing straight into the ground. It's really embarrassing. I think I need to take some flying lessons for this. But I think it's hard to take a game where you can blow anything up and then put tanks, attack helicopters, and fighter jets in that same game, and then somehow make it not fun. That just doesn't seem possible. Even if the rest of the game is like objectively terrible, being able to blow stuff up in vehicles will always be fun, no matter how boring the game is. Hello, I'm wearing a green shirt now. I just realized how often I change shirts in these videos. It's ridiculous. Also, to revisit the maps portion of the video while I'm editing this, I was watching it back and I realized I might have said some stupid shit about maps, so I'm here to clear the air about that. I think I kind of made it sound like the only kind of maps I like to play in a multiplayer game are like, you know, meat grinder type maps where it's so fast paced and over the top that it's just kind of overwhelming. And that's not necessarily true. And while I enjoy those meat grinder style maps, I also enjoy playing Conquest, Rush, Escalation, and those modes need the larger maps to kind of expand, like in Rush when you're moving up in objectives. And in this game, I just find the larger maps to be weak in comparison to past titles where the larger maps were some of the best in the game, like Battlefield 3. I'm curious kind of what the community thinks about this, so let me know in the comments which Battlefield game you think had the best maps. I think Battlefield 1 might be contender for the game that had the best. Or maybe Bad Company 2. Bad Company 2 also had really good maps. But yes, when it comes to maps, I do enjoy the larger maps. I just want them to be designed a little bit better, and then on top of that, maybe have a little bit more flair to them. I would love, absolutely love, I don't know how everyone else feels, but if they did a Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam style DLC where it was just a whole new game basically that they just throw on. What if we got a Battlefield Hardline sequel as a DLC? That could have potential. Probably not going to happen, but you never know. So, is this game worth your time right now? Maybe. Maybe if it's on discount. I don't think I'd pay $70 for this again. I feel really stupid that I did, seeing as how the content just isn't there right now. But at the end of the year, hey, when all this content is in the game, when this new roadmap is in place, then I'd probably say it's worth $70. But thanks for watching. I did a video just like this for Fallout 3. I'll link it in the description if you want to watch it. I got a few other games I'm probably going to make videos like this for. I've got a few in the pipe. You'll just have to be patient with me. I got some ideas. But I stream on Twitch almost every day, so I'll link my Twitch in the description if you want to give me a follow. You get notifications when I go live. And I really enjoy making these videos, so expect more of them. Alright, later.